Do you ever say yes when you really want to say no, just to avoid the guilt, the tension, or the fear of letting someone down? You are not alone in that. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about protecting your energy, your values, and your peace. And that heavy guilt, it often comes from old patterns, not your present truth. In this video, we're going to look at why guilt shows up and how to set clear, compassionate boundaries without drowning in shame. Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a Sensorimotor psychotherapist, where I make therapy accessible and help you reconnect with your body and yourself. So, let's get started. Let's face it, it can be hard, it can be really tricky, and we usually only need to set a boundary when things aren't great, when things are going wrong, when we're saying yes to things we don't want to be saying yes to, we find ourselves doing things we don't want to be doing, that it's just putting us in an uncomfortable place, and we often know what we don't want to happen, but it's really hard to set those things in place. Because, you know, a lot of us, we want to please and we want people to like us, and a lot of us don't like conflict, and we worry that if we put up a boundary it's going to cause conflict. It doesn't usually, but we worry that it will. That we'll be seen in a bad light, that'll make things more difficult. So we just carry on giving in, and it can be things like not having our opinion listened to, always being shouted down, not being given the time or the space to show up. It can be, you know, doing lots of things we don't want to do, having people kind of walk all over us or just push us around, and that can make us feel really less than and really frustrated with ourselves that we can't change these things, we can't speak up for ourselves, but it's difficult. And we might have a sense of the boundary that we want to put in place, but if we haven't done the work beforehand, then the minute somebody pushes back on it, all our old patterns are going to come up. In order to put a boundary in place, we've got to believe that we deserve it. We've got to believe that our sense of importance is equal to everybody else's. We've got to believe that it's okay to do things for ourselves, and that it's okay to have a voice. And it's not our job to make everybody else happy, because that's a hiding to nothing. It's an endless chasing your tail, second guessing everything, trying to preempt every outcome. And it doesn't do anything for our sense of self-worth, our right to exist, our equality in society or in whatever groups we're in, or our position in the family. If things were going brilliantly, then we wouldn't need to set boundaries. We'd kind of have them automatically, instinctively. We'd have that energy that goes out that just, you know, exudes a bit of confidence and a bit of making things quite definite, not being too woolly or wishy-washy, being a bit more kind of straight down the line with things. And when we have good boundaries, other people notice it, and it actually makes everything and everybody feel safe, much safer, because we're true to ourselves. We're being very straightforward, and we're easy to read, and it's easy to communicate. That it's really clean, it's clear. And so when people do have good boundaries, most of the time others around them admire that and they like it. You know where you stand, and that's important. When we haven't got good boundaries, then we're kind of being pushed and pulled in all sorts of different directions. We don't know who we are, and others don't really know who we are. Leaves us open to manipulation and for people to control us. It's not a great place. The problem is, once things have kind of gone down that route, then it's very difficult to kind of change things and put a stop to it. But we've got to find a way of doing that. But like I say, the first step in that is having a sense of, I'm worthy of that, I'm allowed that, I deserve that. And if we can't say those things to ourselves and believe them, others are going to pick up on that. They're going to push, they're going to find a way of turning that no into a yes. by being really persuasive, or, you know, I'll be really hurt if you don't do that. And we have to keep reminding ourselves, it isn't our job to make everybody else happy. We might need that as a bit of a mantra for ourselves. That's not my job. I've got to be my number one priority right now. I've got to be able to do what's right for me, and I'm allowed to do that. And, you know, sometimes when I'm working with people, it's those bits of work that are the most important bits, because sometimes once we've done that, it becomes much easier just to automatically have that boundary. And it's as much an energetic thing. People feel it, they sense it. You know, if somebody's kind of pushing it a little bit, we can just exude that. Okay, you're kind of pushing it a little bit and it's got to stop. And they'll pick it up either through just an expression on your face, something that you're conveying to them that might not even need words. They'll sense it. So it's really important to be able to embody that within us. And as with most things, that starts with internal work, because it's in here that we have to really have that embodied sense of, no, I have a right to these things, I deserve a boundary. Say we're saying yes and agreeing to go and doing things that we're really not enjoying, that we know we're not going to have a good time, that there's a whole number of reasons why we don't enjoy it, but we keep finding ourselves doing it. We've got to be able to really embody in here, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to keep putting myself in that position. That's not the right thing for me. You know, finding the words that really fit, because those words are important. You know, I can't give someone my words because they would sound different, but I can help them formulate their own. You know, that doesn't make me feel good. I'm not enjoying this. What we want when we're putting a boundary forward is it to be really clean and clear, something that we can stick to. I don't want to do that anymore. And when it's really clear and we really can own that, then when someone starts to push back on it, we can just hold that boundary. There doesn't need to be any conflict. We can even acknowledge to the other person how that, you know, obviously is making you feel. I can see that's making you angry or uncomfortable or upset. Not my intention, but I'm not doing that anymore. And when we can just really assert that in a very calm, very clean way, we're always speaking for ourselves. You know, sometimes from the I position, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to go there anymore. Or I'm done with that now. I've done it to bits and I'm done with it. When we can really have that and hold it and bring our energy into that, you know, we're bringing our whole self. So we've got to start from internally. When we say those things to ourselves, once we've decided upon those words, to be able to take them in, sometimes take them in with the in-breath and hold them. You know, really be aware of our own body and the sensations that are going through your body. What comes up for you when you say those things? Is there another little voice, another part of you that kind of goes, what are you doing? You know, that wasn't allowed back then. No, that was very true. These things weren't allowed back then, but it's different now. That was true for then. This is true for today. We have to communicate with these little parts. They will be younger. If our inability to have a boundary naturally, then it's been eroded or shut down or disallowed when we were younger. So we can communicate to that little part. Nope, that's very true. It wasn't then, but it's different now. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's okay to do this. It's okay to say these things. The other thing about a boundary and the words that we use, we have to be really certain that our intention is not to hurt. Our intention is to do no harm to the other person. It may upset them, but it's not our intention. And when we can really believe that and be honest with ourselves, okay, that helps a huge amount. No, I'm not trying to hurt you. This is just the right thing for me. No, I didn't mean to upset you, but this is the right thing for me. And we have to be able to bring that, to feel it, to breathe with it, to be regulated in that place. And only when we sense inwards and we can feel what comes up to dysregulate us, when we say those things to ourselves, then we can help ourselves regulate. We can recognize those things. It's like, okay, well, what helps that settle? Because it's going to come up when someone pushes and challenges our boundary. Because if we've had to put them in place, it's because things aren't probably going great for the other person. They're going to push back against it, but they're not going great for us. So we bring it with all of our intention, with all of our body, and all of our sense of, nope, it's okay to have this. It's safe. And, knowing you're not alone with it, talk to your friends about it. Everybody has issues at some point with having to put a boundary. Sometimes you need a bit of a wingman if you're going to do it. That's okay. Some people find it easier than others. Find a way of doing it. Because what we often do is we make excuses and we avoid. And it just comes up sooner or later, because when others really want their way, they'll be patient. They'll just wait and they'll be opportunistic. We've got to be ready. We've got to be ready with our boundaries so we're not caught off guard. So I hope that is helpful, useful, and just makes you stop and think. If this video helped, then hit subscribe and join us every week for more body-based healing. Because real healing doesn't start in the mind, it starts in the body.